Good morning and welcome to my Financial Freedom Education Series and my Spotlight Entrepreneur, Felicia Rubinstein, CEO and founder of HAYVN in Darien, Connecticut. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about why she founded HAYVN, what her vision is for the future and her 4th anniversary this year in May, as well as some of the key signature events that she showcases, like HAYVN Hatch, which is a pitch night for female founders, as well as others throughout the year. And we're also going to talk about her partners in various tri-state cities and how members of HAYVN can actually take advantage of those partnerships and sisterhoods. So please help me welcome Felicia Rubinstein. And let's start with why did you launch HAYVN in 2019?
Yeah. Well, hi, Deb, and thank you for hosting me today. I really appreciate it. I actually just listened to your podcast that you did for HAYVN, and it was terrific. And
thank you. I'm very happy.
So, HAYVN is a co-working space based in Fairfield County, Connecticut, right in the heart of Fairfield County. And my mission is to help women connect, create, and collaborate to get stuff done. And my thought was women professionals really need support in their personal and professional life. There's so many highly educated women based in Fairfield County, but they really lack confidence and skills sometimes to re-enter into the workforce during a career break. There's also a lot of women that are working in the area, and they are working remotely or commuting into New York City and feeling super isolated, and they just need that connection. As well as something I found just throughout my journeys here is that there's 58 organizations to connect people in Fairfield County, but it's very kind of hard to connect with all these people in all these places. So my goal was for HAYVN to be a hub for all of this group to help them, socialize and get educated. And why I created it was I was one of those women. And just a little bit of background about me. I have a very eclectic background. As a young girl, I always wanted to be an inventor, and I wound up going to school to become an engineer, kind of thinking that was the track for me. And I worked in Fortune 10 companies. I worked for Apple and for GE, and loved it. But at one point, it was time I wanted to start a family, and I wanted to try to figure out how to do that and work. And it was a difficult situation, and just in terms of finding daycare and all the things that women kind of
I know it well.
Yeah, I know. I heard that on your podcast too. So, and I know I'm not alone. And then, so at that point in my career, I could have used some help and support and education, and was kind of fumbling because you're just, head down and working. And then I wound up at that point, when my son was about 1 year old, giving up my career at Apple and starting a company myself so I could work home remotely and take care of him and be closer by. So, as it evolved, that was a marketing agency. It grew, and I grew it to about 15 people, and we had, over 80 clients, and, it worked really well. And it was a good lifestyle business to balance with my life. But then my kids grew up, and it was, the next stage of what am I going to do next?
Right.
And I really wanted to get back and work in corporate. And so, and I saw my kids were launching, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready for my next stage, even though my marketing company was successful, but I felt like, I don't know if I want to be an entrepreneur anymore. So let me try going back into corporate. So I sold HAYVN. It was called the 3-for-1 Studios. And I started in as a director of marketing for a software company in the city. And I did that for 3 years. That was prior to starting HAYVN. What I found in that, I was the only woman on the team, the leadership team of 16 guys. And it was a little uncomfortable in some ways. And I wasn't expecting that. Being an engineer, I'm always around, this world, but it was, and I really needed the support of other women professionals. So I went through that, but then I found myself trying to figure out how can I help people like me in these situations? And that's when I was wandering around New York City, listening to a podcast of WeWork, of the founders of WeWork. And I had this inspiration. It's like, oh, something like this would be amazing to have, for if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a professional. And I kept searching and I didn't find anything like that. And I actually applied for a job at WeWork and was rejected. And this is another thing that happens, is happening too, is there's an ageism piece that you're encountering. And I wasn't expecting that. But anyway, so long story longer, whatever. I started thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? There's nothing like this that I know exists. And I feel like Fairfield County is so ripe for this. Why don't I start something like this here? And so that's my origin story. There's a lot more to it, but I felt like if not me, then who? And it seems to have resonated with a lot of people.
Absolutely. And I actually thank you so very much for that career trajectory, so to speak. I did very similar things in that I was a journalist, and then I went to the agency world and magazine, and then I was one of the only women in the agency world with 7 men for 15 years. I get it completely. And I also, because I'm a raving HAYVN fan, as I like to say, I also was very excited to have the hub available to me as an entrepreneur. I work with teams of people like yourself. They are remote and they're chosen based on the client need. But to your point, I needed that emotional, spiritual, physical support on a daily basis outside of the remote nature of working at home and taking care of a child. I also have one child, Audrey. So the point is that I'm very fortunate to be a member of HAYVN and very delighted that you have created this and expanded it rather exponentially in a very short period of time. I'm very impressed with the trajectory and your partnerships. So I might add there, what do you feel about the co-working industry per se? Do you feel that it's here to stay? Is this something that is a part of the fabric of our new working culture?
So, yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I did once I had that inspiration was I spent a lot of time studying up on the co-working world and have discovered a great community around the world that I'm part of. I have peers all over the country and we meet on a weekly basis. I have accountability partners in it. And we just, are so pumped about this industry. When in 2000, I guess it was 2018, 19, when I started researching all this, the studies were that by 2030, 30% of the people would be working remotely. Again, this was pre-COVID, and COVID, the pandemic has, accelerated this. And now, the world is very used to working remotely. Like we were originally training people on why this is a good idea. And now everybody is to say this is brilliant. And people tell me all the time, you're so lucky that you thought about this,
Yes.
how futuristic I was thinking about this. But anyway, it's I absolutely see it, and I see a trend right now. Our offices are full. And I have wait lists, which is fantastic, and we have offerings all over the board. Just we keep adding things based on what we're seeing in terms of trends. But yes, I think everybody's gung ho. There's transition in this market in terms of there's larger companies that are buying up smaller co-working spaces. You're just seeing that happen, but the smaller local spaces are the ones that I think, just like a local coffee shop or gym, people feel comfortable working in.
I love also that you're creating a hub for dynamic exchange So in terms of, there could be many different types of entrepreneurs with very different thinking and ways of doing work. And I think that's also very electrifying. Where else do you get to work with people who are in completely different industries, have completely different skill sets, and how wonderful to be able to share that expertise with each other that you would never really be able to do otherwise in any other format or context, right? I also love the fact that you do have corporate members as well as individual entrepreneurial members, because companies obviously are probably likely renting space from you because they don't want to pay for the overhead of their own space, right? That makes a lot of sense, and it's a very profitable model. So I'm excited for you to see that this is actually evolving to sort of a home away from home, if you will, as far as I can see. And that's how I feel, and a lot of my peers that are members there feel. Curious, a couple of folks have mentioned to me, and you and I have talked about, talk to me a little bit about the partnership model in terms of there are other companies in New York and New Jersey, like yours, Coco and others, that are co-working models and co-working companies that you're called them sisters, so to speak, perhaps. Tell me a little bit about how members can work reciprocity with those other companies. If, for instance, they're in New York having meetings, or they want to go to Coco and have lunch, or whatever it might be. I'd love to know how that works.
Yeah, sure. And just to step back a little, the partnerships with these sister co-working spaces really was created during the pandemic too, where each of us were like in our own little silos working on this. And there's the group kind of coalesced with Luminary in New York City, was kind of the spearhead of this and connected all of us. And we would talk weekly about, what we're seeing happening like during the pandemic and all the, and we just kind of gelled and gave each other ideas of how we could help and support each other. And that grew into, let's have this partnership. And so if people want to work in a co-working space in New York, we had offerings and vice versa. So, and not just New York, if you want to go to Texas, or there's, I think about 15 or 20 sister co-working spaces that you can, if you're a member of HAYVN, then you can work in the city or somewhere else for 2 days. You get 2-day passes a month and some discounts on membership. And we are talking about how we can even make this better for each other. But that's the initial, it's just that exchange. So we have several members of HAYVN that, go into the city and work at Luminary, and then they offer similar sessions like they do in Connecticut for us.
That's wonderful. It feels similar to the university club model. I was a member of the Cornell Club and the Cornell Women's Club for many years, started by a colleague of mine. And I found that it was very, prior to obviously even knowing about HAYVN, it was very conducive for me not only to do business and have client meetings, but I love the reciprocity around the country, and for that matter, around the world, where I could go and travel and stay at one of their hotels, or like, for instance, the Yale Club in New York or University Club in Philadelphia. And I loved that. Takes it a whole nother level, I do realize. But I love to have that kind of collegial, very elegant, impressive kind of format and backdrop, so that I could entertain clients there, I could meet with colleagues and peers, and I could frankly use it personally if I chose to fly wherever I happen to be flying to, and going with my husband or friends to different cities. That worked out pretty nicely, and I found the model to be very similar, which is probably why I was attracted to HAYVN.
Yeah, no, I love that idea. And, again, this is always evolving, and there's a lot of creative people in this world. So we're just trying to figure out what works best for members, and it's super flexible.
Absolutely, which I love. And frankly, to your point about being collegial and collaborative and really connecting and getting stuff done, to your motto, my colleague, which I just mentioned, Carolina Fernandez, started She-EO. It's actually quite cute. And it was a women's club as part of the Cornell Club for many, many years. So we can talk about that offline. It was a great model. We no longer meet in person, we meet virtually, but it's a great way to meet senior level executive women to talk about every possible context of business and profitability and modeling and all of that. and really to make some great friendships, of which I've made several. So that's the other good news about Haven, is that I've made some tremendous friends there and colleagues that, they might be friends for life. Who knows? It's wonderful to know that I could meet and greet and be with friends and colleagues in a very sexy, savvy, state-of-the-art format and location that really is conducive to building and growing, not only professionally, but also personally. So I'm grateful and grateful to have the membership and the opportunity. I'd love to talk about Haven Hatch. As a private investor, I'm very curious about this. It's hosted twice a year. And this one's coming up. The Haven Hatch deadline, as I understand, for female founders is Monday the 30th, coming up next week, a week from today. And also you can register for the actual event on March 13th at 5:30, which is a Monday evening. So could you talk to me about the evolution of Hatch? I think it's a very cool and interesting concept. And I love that entrepreneurs can I have helped them find seed money, but this is a very pointed and very direct way of finding seed money to capitalize their companies. Could you share with us about that as well?
Sure. Yeah. We started Hatch. That was one of my first initiatives when I opened Haven. Like, we really wanted to help women entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Shark Tank.
Absolutely. Isn't it fun?
But I always felt it was very intimidating. And so we really call Hatch Dolphin Tank. So it's
that's awesome.
Very friendly and and welcoming. And it's kind of like the first step on a journey for a woman who's looking for money or has an idea. And we really we work with them on helping them with their presentation, with their with how their financials and different things like that. We actually have an incubator called Haven Launch that we are working with the Connecticut Small Business Development Center and Christine Sullivan to do. And so the women several times have gone through the launch program, which is a 6-week incubator, and get the comfort level to pitch at this Hatch event. So and we this is evolving. This is going to be, I think, our 13th Hatch that we've done. And it's really, it's a fun event. We have food. We everybody supports each other. They clap, and it's not like you're trying to make it not scary. And a lot of these women have gone on to pitch at larger events and have raised money and have and get exposure. So that's what it's all about. And we have right now, we're looking for more applicants. We have a good pool, but the cutoff date for the applications is on the 30th, and we're going to make our decision and let the 5 presenters know next week.
Outstanding. I think it's just a tremendous opportunity to meet like-minded peers who are looking for capital. And I might add that it's really great to know that in the audience that attends, which is over 100 people, you will find in one place, which is rare, venture, angel capitalists, everyone that would potentially be a capital partner for you is attending that evening. So that's also very attractive because you just never know who you might meet. So I highly recommend you attend and pitch. Could you share with us a little bit about the call to action? What would you like people to do to learn more about Haven? What steps can they take? I'm very action oriented. So let's talk about what they can do to get to know Haven better and feel the experience of working there, of attending events, of collaborating. Tell us what the next step is for potential viewers.
Sure. Well, the best thing is to get onto our mailing lists, and we send out a weekly mailer of what's coming up that week. And we usually have about 3 or 4 different activities to network and connect with people. You can also come in, book a tour, and then we're happy if you book a tour on our website, and then you can stay for the day and work. We'd love for you to come on Fridays once a month. We have a coffee and chat session. And as well as we have a members breakfast once a month and a happy hour. So if you want to experience what our members are all about, those are good ways to connect and meet with us.
Absolutely. And I've done many of them. And I personally find the full day Friday for social members to be extremely attractive because I'm not a bigger member yet. I'm just putting my toes in the water, but I find it to be terrific because I get the vibe. I get to be there and really circulate with the powers that be. And it's all day. So you can choose to come for a couple hours or the whole day. And it's really a nice complimentary offer for people such as myself, who are really sort of beginners, if you will, beginner members called social members, fleet members. So I personally really love that. I highly recommend you check out the website, www.hatch.haven.com. And
I should just mention that everybody spells Haven wrong.
I know, you're absolutely
right. It's my fault for the way I branded it. I wanted to own my URL, but it's HAY in the middle, VN. So just remember the Y's in the middle.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then that gets back to sort of your why. And I'm all about that. Why are you in business? Why are you collaborating? Who would you like to be your ideal client, et cetera? So HAYVN is the why. It helps you to establish and build your why for business and who you should collaborate with, the clients you should attract, where you should be going on your career trajectory. It's a really hard word. And I really feel it's a tremendous opportunity for people to learn and grow and evolve professionally and personally. So I wish you all the best in your expansion plans to potentially other parts of Fairfield County, we hope, because I live in Fairfield. As well as other parts of the region and the country for that matter, because I see big things happening here and I know you are at the helm and I see them happening and I'm very grateful to be part of that growth and trajectory. Anything else you'd like to add before we sign off here today?
No, this has really been a terrific experience, and thank you, Deb, for guiding me through this. As you know, I said
absolutely, absolutely.
Not my forte. I love talking to people, but I don't like to be the center of attention. So this was really fun.
I just thought I've launched this program with my Financial Freedom Education Series, Entrepreneur Spotlight, 2 years ago. Because I know many CEO entrepreneurs who frankly don't get enough airtime as far as I'm concerned. And I know you like to be in the background, but I'd like to bring you up forward here because you deserve to be. You've done some pretty phenomenal things here and people should know about it and should be able to take advantage of it because, you know, we're all in this together and we win together as far as I'm concerned. So I think that's really important that I showcase people who are doing visionary things in the entrepreneurial, for that matter, the small business SMB space, and also making a difference in the community. You are a certified B Corp company. You're working with a number of different organizations like Connecticut Next and the Sustainability Council. So you're really entrenched, if you will, in the community, making a difference every day. And to me, that's rock solid celebrating. Let's do it. So thank you again for your time. You can view this on HAYVN, HAYVN.com, as well as my YouTube channel, Literacy to Legacy Mentors, and that is on YouTube under that URL, if you will. And if you want to reach out to either one of us, you can reach out to Felicia at HAYVN and to myself at literacytolegacymentors.net. My name, Deborah, at literacytolegacymentors.net, Felicia at HAYVN.com. Thank you so very much for joining today. I'm delighted to partner with you and be part of HAYVN, and I hope you have a tremendous 4th anniversary, very successful HAYVN Hatch, and have at it. Continued success to you.
Thank you, Deb.
All right, great.